like time traveling forward. You can face it towards the screen.
Okay.
Oh, maybe use a chair.
Yeah. We've got a lot of.
This room is not.
I unplugged.
I haven't heard from them. Usually tell me if they're not going to say. Better?
Yeah, that is better. All right. Zia, ready?
I know, that's okay. Yeah. It's nice if like, you're not feeling super hot, you can. Here it is. Do it from home.
Sometimes it's just no good. Turn the lights off. Yeah. Hello, future online people, since there's no one online right now. Right now, nobody, but sometimes they get views later. So.
Better?
Much better. Okay. And we're only 4 minutes after. Maybe we wait another couple minutes. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Got any big plans? You were going on a trip. Planning.
No.
Okay, I thought you were planning on working for the summer.
David about a cruise.
If you drew about a cruise, good, I have information about a cruise in there.
Because I want to know.
Yeah.
That's right, we were gonna go to Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Cancel it.
Yeah.
It's nothing somewhere. Good to know.
Good to know.
Especially if you don't have to do it. A lot of time you do all of this background research.
Yeah, this took some time, for sure, to figure it out because there's a lot of contradictory information out there. I think that's why it's a challenging role. Because you do one thing from somebody, you do something from somebody else. Depends on which cruise line you're gonna use and which, airline you're gonna use, so.
I know that 2 brothers on nice and a video call.
Yeah, they say, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, video in 24 hours. It's your
Minneapolis airport is a big airport.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of walking.
They've got these little trolleys you can hop on. They're kind of like golf carts.
Yeah,
Steroids.
it's just,
You climb on
you
there.
gotta pace it, but
No. I didn't see.
I think you can request a wheelchair in advance also.
Getting from baggage to a rental car.
Yeah.
That's a
Yes.
lot,
Yeah,
and that can be difficult.
that for sure.
One, I don't know.
I thought we had to go for $20. And I think
So something with a seat.
yeah, it's got the rollers on it, the little basket.
Yeah.
So,
You get that on your thing?
You can't.
that was one of the questions I was going to.
Yes. They, we'll get to it, but yes. Yeah. Okay, so I guess we'll get started. So travel tips with chronic lung disease and oxygen specifically, because oxygen is always such a big thing for people who are traveling. Here's a little preview of our agenda. So to start off, I just wanted to say that having lung disease doesn't mean that you have to be anchored to your home. That's the common misconception, is that now that you've got this oxygen, your life is over and you're stuck in your house forever, and that's not the case. You need to live a full and happy life and do the things you want to do. Oh, you're right. See, I knew I was waiting. It's one more minute. I just started.
I
Sorry.
have a question on that. When you see that tent, where are you building your house?
I know, right? I thought that too. So, okay, good. It's good. You can't get down. And I was like, how are you doing? Yeah. You can find I'm doing it. You could do that if you wanted to. You could, yeah. Another thing, I put that in because I wanted to also to remind you that, another thing is, maybe not necessarily there, but if you go to a campsite, you can reserve, I've had, people do this, they reserve an RV site with electric hookups and just put their truck on it. And so they have power and they plug in the extension cord and they plug their power. And I mean, it's gotta be resourceful, I guess. At this point, I would say, have like a power bank would probably be able to do at least 1 hour, right? A good one.
A bigger battery?
Yeah, it's like, so they call it a power bank, and it's like a bigger battery. Like they have something you can go to call. I think they're pretty substantial in their power reserve. We take, when I go camping, we take a power bank with us. We're talking about off of Amazon, but they do sell them, that are like supposedly rated for CPAP, medical devices, and they probably have like X amount of hours that they've been tested. Or you could buy one, you can buy those at medical equipment, like Morpho or CPAP now or urgent care. But you could also buy one maybe for cheaper online and test it out, for at home before you go. Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's like, this is a possibility going on. So maybe you're going into a tent. You gotta go ahead, but it's not impossible.
It's good for about 4.5 hours.
Yeah, but I think that was lovely. Go back to work. Yeah, and then, if you're, I wouldn't be that happy to a place like this, but if you're camping out of your car, you can always plug it in your car, bring your car for a little round and kind of use it up if you're not using it. But that's the thing with these portable oxygen concentrators, they don't, they will run and charge at the same time, so that. Can you get extra batteries? Batteries too. You can also rent extra batteries.
Actually, when it is running, that'll plug in, you have to turn it on first.
Yeah.
Then you can plug it in, so
Yeah, but it doesn't build power. It just keeps it where it's at.
it does.
Is that build power?
It does, this is good for 4 hours.
Yeah. Maybe,
If you plug in, the more you, it's still at 100%.
yeah, okay, but I think, because when I was looking this up, I think it might be a difference if you're doing it if you're plugging it into the car, maybe it doesn't build. Maybe it doesn't choose.
Mine does.
It builds?
This one, the one that I got in already. Because they're all different.
Yeah, they're all different.
So you have to know what your vehicle is.
And probably what your car was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my grandson's job is to make sure grandma's plugged in and turned off.
Nice.
That's their job.
Nice, I love it.
And it's real trouble. Because we don't have enough in there for a movie. We have to drive around and tell someone.
So the question, drivers is, plug in, will continue to turn.
Yes.
So maybe because there's a newer, have you had that one?
I've had it for, about 2 years, about a year now.
Maybe they better.
They're not getting better because that's one.
Yeah,
But you see, this is more like group therapy.
right.
Yes, it is. Well,
This is what we need.
Yeah, totally.
I've only had mine for a couple of months. I haven't taken a trip. I'm new. So I might ask one, ask us some questions.
No, I love the questions, because even, I mean, sometimes like you might ask questions that I don't know the answer to, so I gotta, that's my time to find it and come back and tell you. So when I talked to Norco, they said that it doesn't charge and run at the same time as one in the car. So maybe that's an under promise and over deliver type of situation, but yeah, it's awesome. That's awesome. I love it. So when you're traveling by car, the portable oxygen concentrator like you have, plugging into the car so that you make sure you keep up your battery life, that's excellent. If you don't have a portable oxygen concentrator, you can't use a portable oxygen concentrator, then you might need to use tanks, which I know is not ideal, but sometimes if those little concentrators can't meet your needs, if you need more oxygen than they can deliver, you have to use a tank. And want to make sure that the tank is set upright and secured with the seat belt is inside you or on the floor. You don't want to lay on its side, you don't want to roll it around, and you do not want to store extra tanks in your trunk of your car, because you can get into a crash and you've got little missiles back there. If you're using, I found this very interesting, if you're using your portable oxygen concentrator in your car, you should crack a window. So that way that there's air circulation, because if you don't, it concentrates all the oxygen down, and eventually, you know, there's going to be oxygen left because it's all been concentrated down through a closed car. It's well sealed. So it's better for air circulation to have a window cracked. VOCs don't charge while you're driving, but maybe some do, especially if they're new. So you just want to make sure that you always have it plugged in while you're driving, just in case. So that's really good that yours charges. That's good to know. And then if you do need to use a tank, consider an oxygen conserving regulator, which is a pulse dose, like a pulse, like that, but it's on a tank. And so the tank will last much longer if that's something. And then for those who have to qualify, you have to test to qualify, just like for this, you have to have that pulse dose walking test to make sure that it's going to be your use. So your doctor will have to do that test with you. Any questions on travel by car?
No.
Traveling by plane. So there's a lot of regulations by FAA. Only portable oxygen concentrators are allowed, like what you guys both have, on airplanes. No liquid or compressed gas tanks. The POC should be labeled, and you need paperwork that's stating FAA compliant per RTCA/DO-160. That's their protocol, is that. I put that up here in case you guys needed to write it down. RTCA/DO-160, that's the FAA's.
I would imagine Norfolk,
Yes, yeah. And the FAA, they want, you should notify your airline in advance if you're going to be traveling with oxygen, because they might have special accommodations for you. And they might need something from you, like the medical information form, or some other regulations that a specific airline has. Different airlines have different requirements, like Delta has their own form, I think United has their own form, but it's basically the same MEDIF for medical information form. But that's what they want. So they said advance notice 40 to 72 hours. I think that's like minimum 42 to 72 hours. But like you said, if your family member is ill and you've got to get onto a plane, just give them as much notice. When you're booking your ticket, just say, I've got family emergency, I'm flying this time, call the airline and say, fly this time, and I'm flying with oxygen, I have my oxygen. And so having these things, probably having these things in advance is like, for family emergencies, having a MEDIF form, knowing if your like your expected battery, how many batteries you would need.
Some of them like 16 hours. Battery, like,
Yeah, they want,
spare batteries are not for eight.
You're trying to get a battery out of it.
Yeah,
It's a hard time.
it's not fun, but it's possible.
yeah, for extra, I don't know. And everything is new too, because both computers are relatively new, so everything's nice and, nice and tight. So they want 150% of the trip length. That's what they want. So if you're thinking you're gonna travel to Minnesota, you know, calculate the trip length. Luckily, there's a direct to Minnesota, so that's, to Minneapolis, that's really nice. Because if you say, maybe, I don't know, what is it, 4 hours, you're gonna need 6 hours to have 150% of your trip length. That is a hard regulation. All of them want 150%.
So, question, so we need another battery, because the plane's good for like 4.5 hours.
Yeah, so you need an extra battery. So you say your battery is good for 4.5 hours, and then you would need 2 to have 8.5 hours or 9 hours. Yeah, exactly. You can rent an extra battery from Norco. You guys will have Norco.
Yeah.
Okay, this applies to all the DMEs, but I'll just say Norco because that's what that. But you can rent an extra battery from Norco. I would just call the branch that you normally go to and say, like, hey, I have to go for a family emergency, I need to rent a battery for my POC, can I rent one now? It's gonna be limited to their inventory. I would disclose as a family emergency because they might be more apt to, you know, give you what you need and say, this is what I'm gonna need, this is why they're pretty nice.
I just go and play down.
Yeah,
And they just come on for
yeah, they're great, it works. So notify your airline in advance, and then you want the doctor's statement, so that's the med-if form. So doctor's statement, not every airline requires this, but many recommend it. Having a doctor's statement on hand helps avoid delays, and it should confirm that you are able to travel, you require oxygen at a specific flow rate, your portable oxygen concentrator can safely deliver oxygen at that flow, and that you can operate the device yourself or be accompanied by someone. So that's kind of their minimum statement from the government. Yeah. Some airlines may provide their own medical form. Like I said, I think Delta was one that was really particular. And to avoid any surprises, just call your airline within that 48 to 72 hours to confirm their requirements. They also, so I put on here, if you just go to Norco for battery rentals, if you just go to Norco's website, there's a little form you can fill out. You can do it online too. Because they say 2-week notice, but if it's an emergency, just tell them it's an emergency. I mean, nobody can plan for that. And then some airlines may allow onboard oxygen for a fee, but they will need a prescription for that. So they'll like when you use the oxygen like from overhead, but you know what you're prescribed. Okay, so that's all I got for air travel. When you got what questions do you guys have? Good. So I'll maybe think of anything later. Okay, so on a cruise, this one was pretty interesting. It was 4 to 6 weeks early notification, which I thought was quite a long time. And they want a letter from your provider with a brief medical history and oxygen prescription. So every cruise line has medical personnel on board, and you're expected to be with them for a prolonged period of time. So they want to make sure that they know what they've got going on the ship. And it's also recommended that you call your oxygen company because they may be able to assist in arranging oxygen devices delivered to the cruise line. And so I don't know, I haven't talked to Norco about what they do since we're landlocked here, but there are Norco offices in Washington and Oregon. And so it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility that they have an oxygen concentrator delivered to the ship for you to use. There might be a fee with it, of course. You can, yeah, you can. But if you need like a bigger oxygen concentrator for at night, some people can't hang on, because yours probably goes up to 2 liters continuous at night, right? Yeah, so if they need like 3 at night, and so it's not enough, then they would have the home concentrator delivered. Yeah. We don't recommend that you use your portable oxygen concentrator on the pulse dose at night, because you have to breathe through your nose for that to register, for it to give you a breath. So if you're turning it up to the 3, 4, 5 pulse, at night thinking you're gonna get more oxygen, if you fall asleep and you start breathing through your mouth, you're not getting any oxygen, because it doesn't sense any flow. So it doesn't give you that breath. And it will start beeping at you, but if you're sound asleep, then, yeah, I know, yeah. I mean, wake your bed partner up, hopefully. Okay. And every cruise line is also different, of course, so you just want to make sure you call the cruise. And I saw, when I was doing research for this, I saw that they recommended oxygen-friendly cruises. Like there's some cruise lines that are more friendly than others, but I couldn't find necessarily which ones those are. So I'm not really sure, but you can ask them if where you're thinking about going, like, are you an oxygen-friendly cruise? And that could be something that they would probably want to advertise, like, oh yes, we can definitely help you. Or if they're kind of shy about it, maybe they're not so friendly. For the plane, you had a question about walkers, wheelchairs, and stuff like that for the planes. So all of this medical devices, CPAPs, oxygen, wheelchairs, and walkers, all of those types of things are considered medical necessities. So they don't count towards your carry-on. So that little oxygen bag that you have does not count as your personal item, that's a medical device. So that's why it's nice to put a tag on it and say, for TSA to know this is a medical device. But they, like the walkers and the wheelchairs, they'll have you use it to the gate, and then they'll put a tag on it, and then somebody will bring it down below. So, and if you need it to get to the seat, they'll either use one of those tiny little wheelchairs to get you to, have you ever seen those?
I think so.
It's like a teeny tiny little, like just the width of the aisle, and they'll put you under that and then roll you back to your seat. So, I mean, it's a thing, it's corny, but it works, yeah. And then, of course, you can always, even with the oxygen, you can always say that I need more time to board, so you can board early with people, anybody who needs more time, got young children, whatever. That includes you guys, so you can board early to make sure that your oxygen is set up and it's your bag, your carry-on is up and your oxygen is below the seat in front of you, because we don't want any people on computer devices. Okay.
I wonder if you find the noise that gives me problem with other passengers.
I don't know. I don't think so. Because I've been on flights with people who have oxygen, and I don't. Maybe I mean, just with that little like, and I feel like planes are loud enough where.
You're loud. I don't have to drown it out.
Loud enough to drown it out, but also maybe I'm kind of biased being arrested right there, and I just kind of like, oh, it's fine. They're fine. I can hear them breathing. So if you have a CPAP or a BiPAP, this also does not count towards your carry-on limit. Packing the devices in checked luggage, same with any of your medical devices. They don't match your carry-on limit. I can't stress that enough. Don't pack it in your checked bags, because that's the risk of losing it is too high. You need it where you're going. Empty the water chamber for your CPAP or BiPAP before you pack it up. A lot of people forget that it's got water in there. label the device, and same with the oxygen, with a medical device tag that helps TSA identify it as a medical device. They can all go through the X-ray machine, that's okay. Sometimes they will X-ray it, sometimes they will swab it, and look at it, but TSA will allow you to use your oxygen while they're, checking it. So, yes, they can't take it away from you while they're checking it. Just keep in mind. Make sure that you bring your prescription for your CPAP or BiPAP as well. And then you make the components checklist. Same with these, people always forget the cord, the plug to plug it into the wall. When they come into the hospital, they forget that it comes apart of that little box, and then everybody always forgets the part that actually goes into the wall, and they just bring the little box that goes to the machine, the little power regulator. So make sure you have a components checklist when you bring everything. Bring portable batteries if needed, practice battery safety while on the plane. So lithium batteries have a tendency to heat up and they can cause fire. So if you have extra batteries, you want to make sure you're paying attention to them while you're on the plane. That's why they have to be taken out of the devices. If you have like a laptop and it has that spare battery, you're supposed to take it out and not put it in the you're supposed to put it in your carry-on, not in your checked baggage, because they want to make sure they know right away if the battery is heating up, because it can cause a fire. So bringing your prescription for any of these things, if your device has any parts, or you're deployed for any parts of it, great. While you're traveling, you'll have your prescription on hand, which will allow you to pick up any necessary supplies from a different medical equipment company wherever you go. Making the components checklist, make sure you don't forget anything, the hoses, the tubing, any accessories that you might need. This was also another interesting thing that I found when I was researching this, but if you need to use your CPAP on a flight, like an overnight long flight, they recommend bringing 3.4 ounces of sterile water. So you can put water into it because that's the limit that you can bring for water on a plane. If you can't or don't bring water, ask the stewardess to bottle water so that you don't have, icky water while you're breathing in. And then portable batteries are a good idea because you're not guaranteed that the plug at a seat works. Same with the oxygen, is you could plug it into the seat, but I've never found one of those that works. I don't know about you guys. Those seats tend to never work. Okay, so medications. So make a checklist to ensure that you pack all the meds and supplies that you may need. Bring a copy of your prescriptions. There's a thing called a vacation override, which is a refill request for your prescriptions ahead of time. So if you know you're going to be out of town, when you normally pick up your whatever inhaler or your whatever medications, and so you're not going to be able to get it at that time, before your trip, you can call your pharmacy and say, hey, I need a vacation refill override, and they can fill it earlier than like a week before you run out. So that's a good thing to know. You just have to give them time to do that. Sometimes they have to contact your provider and say, hey, is it okay that I need an extra inhaler? It typically is. Bring your spacer for your rescue inhaler or portable nebulizer machine, if that's what you use. Any over-the-counter medications you may need, like allergy medications. If you're going somewhere where you don't, if you have allergies, or maybe even if you don't, go somewhere where there's different things that can bother your breathing. Health insurance card and pulse oximeter. I saw that you brought yours today, so that's great.
So what do you find is does the airline supply you the list
Of what you need?
of your oximeter?
No, this is just a list that I created. I did make a checklist for another trip that you can take. That's got kind of like it's a pretty thorough checklist. I made it for the Smoothie Foundation last year when we went to DC and they distributed it out, and, we didn't have nearly as many medical emergencies that I noticed, as the year before.
Are you going to see that?
No, no,
That's used to still water.
yes, yeah,
So once you get there, you have to find a store.
yeah,
Like, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
My wife is on.
If you, we want to just make sure that the water is as clean as possible, so if you can't find distilled water, what do you guys say? I would say bottled water is like second best, but don't use tap water for sure. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think what my husband does. He just sometimes uses tap water just because he doesn't have anything else. But yeah, I would do bottled water, or if you could find sterile water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They sell distilled at grocery stores, so,
It's cheap, it's not expensive.
no, it's just been a hassle. Getting it, yeah. That's why if you could find a 3.4, maybe one of those little like shrimpy, water bottles and then fill it up before you go.
Did you say it's medical necessary?
Yeah.
Can't you say it's part of your medical necessity if you are supposed to have distilled water?
No, they still want 3.4 ounces. I think you could argue that, for children who are breastfeeding, I know you can bring more for that, but where I was looking online, it said 3.4 ounces is the limit. So,
How many 3.4 ounces can you bring?
The Edward has someone. With a relative.
Yeah.
Give them a heads up.
if you're going somewhere, I would start with Norco. I would start with your oxygen company and let them know, hey, this is my plan. Sometimes, I'm not sure if they have any partnerships with other medical equipment companies, but sometimes they do, where if you are going to Hawaii, they partner with a company there, and then they can set you up with stuff and they can provide you with what Norco would be providing here. So sometimes that can work. I know that's kind of the appeal to the national medical equipment companies, like Lincare and Apria, is that, they're all over the place, so you can find your store wherever you go. So there's pluses and minuses to all of the suppliers. Norco is very much centered in the Pacific Northwest, and they have a lot of offices here, which is why not a lot of people use them. But,
Very close by. Very close by.
they're close, yeah, oh yeah. There's a lot, because we have Lincare here and we have Apria here, and I think each of them might only have one office in the whole Treasure Valley. So, I mean, they're here, they exist, but there's, 10 to 1, more close, so, and they advertise better too, so people actually know they're here. So with contacting your provider, I asked one of our pulmonologists, I said, what do you want them to do? What do you want your people to do if they're gonna go on a trip? And I said, do you want them to call every time and say, hey, you wanna go, or are you going out of town? Or whatever. He said, no, that's too much. But if you're going on a big trip, going far or for a long time, you can let them know and say, and to ask them what specifically do you need for your trip. So if you're going out of the country or for a long period of time, you can talk, if you're planning this ahead of time, of course, you can talk to them at your annual appointment. That would be a great place to do it. But you don't let them know every time you're going, out of town. If you're just going out of town, you could call or MyChart message your provider if you had an issue. Say, you get out of town and you start having, more mucus and coughing and wheezing, and you're thinking, oh great, I just got to the Oregon coast and now I'm, coughing easy, and you could send them a MyChart message. That's probably the most efficient way for them to be able to give you some direction. But if you're going out of state, very likely that the answer is going to be that you need to go to the emergency room. not just because it's an emergency if you're out of state, but a lot of providers don't have licenses to practice out of the state they live. So some do, but a lot of them don't have like an Oregon license, for example. My coworker went down to Las Vegas with her friends and she had a medical need and she called her doctor and they said, I can't prescribe anything in the state of Nevada. So she ended up having to figure it out. But if you go to an urgent care, it could be the same. They would take you, but it's going to be probably out of network, so it might be very expensive. So in an emergency room, because of the EMTALA laws, they have to take you. So that it's going to be probably a little bit cheaper for you. Still might be expensive, but probably cheaper than the other routes. And then if you're going out of, and if it's an oxygen related, just a side note, if it's an oxygen related emergency, your oxygen is not working or your oxygen level is low, don't ever go to urgent care because that's too much of an emergency for them. They're always going to send you to the anyway.
Where do you go?
Just go to the emergency room. The urgent care, if it's anything oxygen related, they're just going to say, that's too big of an emergency, you have to leave there. Yeah. And they will do their best to get you there safely. They'll call you an ambulance and everything, but you know, then the price just keeps going up. So you can just go to anywhere on the first place that's better. If you're going out of the country, a good place to start is trying the pharmacy. If it's more like an urgent care matter, if you go to a pharmacy in another country, like Mexico, Canada, Europe, wherever you're going to go, a lot of times the pharmacist will take your symptoms and give you advice and even write prescriptions for you. So if you have your prescriptions, they can fill them there. It'll be, you know, for cash, but it might even be cheaper than you pay here. And then, of course, the emergency room is always an option in other countries as well. Because if you need it, but try not to, because that's kind of really for that brings me to the next one, which is plan ahead. So this is a little bit of a recap, but crowds, stress, sleep disruption, all of that is going to affect your immune system. So many people, every time they go on a trip, they get sick because of those three things. You're playing, you're stuck in the same can with 150 other people. And not everybody wears masks or washes their hands, but you certainly can. So make sure that you're keeping yourself as clean as possible. Stay up to date on the vaccination. You can always call your primary care doctor. Ask them, hey, am I up to date? Is there anything I'm missing? Anything that I can come do before a trip so you can avoid dangerous preventable things. Supplies, so batteries, chargers, power banks, portable oxygen concentrators, pulse oximeters, extra nasal cannulas, your CPAP and BiPAP machine and supplies, your prescriptions and over-the-counter meds, airway clearance devices. So you use an Aerobica every day to get that mucus out, bring it with you because you're going to need it on vacation too. And the information to bring is lists with health conditions, allergies, medication providers, emergency contacts, health insurance card, medical alert bracelet, and necklace is a good idea. Because you just never know when you're not going to be able to speak for yourself of what's going on. It's kind of like a running joke in my family. Every time I go on a trip with my mom, wherever we are, there's always somebody with a medical emergency that I address every time. I was in Paris with her, and this lady had fainted on me. I called her and brought her to the out of the crowd, and we called an ambulance. Turns out she was an American, but she was having a heat stroke, and so we got her to the emergency room. I was in Switzerland with my mom, and another lady passed out because of low blood pressure, and so we got her to the emergency. But I didn't know what these people with their medical conditions were. That would have been super helpful. The lady with the heat stroke was American, but she couldn't speak for herself. The lady in Switzerland was Swiss, and she was also speaking French. So luckily, my sister-in-law lives there and speaks French, so they kind of helped translate that, but it's just always kind of a thing like that. You just never really know what's gonna happen around you, and if you have something that alerts, say, lung disease or oxygen use or something like that, or whatever, diabetes, whatever, pacemaker, something like that that can kind of alert. Even if it's in English, you can use Google Translate to translate it really easily. So that way, we could know what's going on and kind of address the problem sooner. And then one other thing that when I was talking to a few people about this, they suggested that I also talk about where you're going, plan for parking, plan your trip around parking. So her mother was an RT I worked with. Her mother had COPD, was on oxygen, and they went to Honolulu, which was great because she had Apria, and there was an Apria there. That's the oxygen company, and everything was fantastic. They planned it ahead. They delivered all the stuff she needed to her hotel. It was fantastic. But Honolulu there's no parking anywhere close. It's just not big enough for any of that, right? So they had a really hard time with her mobility because she was very limited in, at how far she could walk and her shortness of breath. So there was a lot of like dropping off and then like finding parking and then like hiking back.
It sounds like Uber would be good.
Yeah, and I think that's true. And I think at this time that was probably pre-Uber when she was doing that trip, but that's just another thing to think about, but Uber is a great idea. I don't know, maybe people don't even rent cars very much anymore. Probably not really. They're not in Hawaii. I don't
My
know.
son was a Kauai a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Took 2 weeks renting a car, $2,500.
Oh my goodness, crazy.
That was like 2 or 3 years ago.
That's crazy. I mean, you could do it for less than that, or the bus. Thanks. That was it, that's my whole presentation. What questions do you guys have?
Well, you've done well.
Thanks.
I'm not traveling anywhere.
But you could if you wanted to, you just plan ahead. All right, I do have some handouts with some other tips that I will let you guys have. If anybody online wants a handout, send me an email. Okay, will do.